Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Mohammed Tanvir Mahatab. I'm one of your lab faculties of CSE461, and in this part we'll be talking about how you can make a custom robot right from scratch. So this part of the video, this is a bit out of context. This wasn't included in your initial lecture videos, but we thought that it's going to be helpful for you if you can see how you can make a custom robot. However, another video which is obstacle detection, my bad, image recognition using cameras. These videos will be related. We'll be using the same robot. So even though this is a bonus part, you can watch this and then move on to to that video. So first of all, to start off, let's make a robot. I'm using the same environment where I've previously shown you how we can add walls and make certain objects. So first of all, if you want to make a robot, go to the plus sign to add an object, go to the base nodes, and you can see that there is a node called robot right over here. So add that. So after you're done adding that, just go inside, search for children, and over there just go search for shapes. Go to base nodes and then search for shapes. So we're gonna add a shape to it. So now inside shape, we're gonna change the appearance. So go over here, I'm gonna give it an appearance. I'm gonna also give it a shape. So let's give it a boxy shape, and right for that I'm gonna go inside box. I'm gonna change the dimensions a bit. So let's go to the shape, appearance. Yeah, it's right over there. Go to the dimensions here. So let's change it a bit, 0.05, and let's give it 0.2. And also what you need to do is you need to see that where the shape is. So as you can see, you cannot see it as of now, but first of all, let me just save the name of the shape with a different name. So I'm gonna just name it to save it with the name body. Okay, so over here, what you can do is, the next thing is go to the scale and change the scale so that to make it more larger. So I'm gonna change all the scales, and I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna place it right over here on this side. So this is basically the body of a robot. And also one thing which I really want to suggest you guys to do, to set the metalness to 0, so the edges will be more defined. Okay, so now we are done making the body of the robot. And also don't forget to add 2 more things. I think you guys already remember. Just go to the object bounding object. Since we already change the name of the shape to body, you go to use, and you can use the shape of the body, and go to add physics to it. You have already seen the video of the physics, so I think this will be piece of cake for you. So now we are done making the body of the robot, but now I want to make a robot which can move and also have wheels. So to actually make things move and to have wheels, what you need to have are circular discs, or known as rims, or whatever you name it. Now to add that, first of all, you need to understand that where we need to add that. We obviously have this robot object over here, so we need to go inside that and click on that and add, go to the plus sign and go to the base nodes. And over here what you need to add is we're gonna add a hinge joint. So over here, let's search for the hinge joint, differential joint. No, it's not here with the plus sign. Okay, since we are adding a robot, I'm sorry, I think we need to go to the children and then go search for the hinge joint, because I think it's gonna be inside the robot. That's why. Let's see whether we can find it or not. Yeah, hinge joint. So while you're adding a hinge joint, the hinge joints are necessary to actually have a rotary or linear motion. Since we need a linear motion, give it a linear motion to the robot, so we need hinge joints. So inside this hinge joint, we're gonna go inside in that and just add the joint parameter, and over there we're gonna go to device and then give it a rotational motor. So there are different sort of nodes that we can find, but we're gonna add a rotational motor because the wheels are gonna rotate. So as soon we are done doing that, so we are done making the giving it a rotational motor. And also we're gonna go inside the joint parameters and we have, yeah, we already have given that thing. We have given the rotational motor, and then let's go to the endpoints. I might be missing some points. Maybe when I'm gonna work backtrack, then if I miss something, then I'm gonna add that again, because these are a bit complex. I mean, bit difficult to remember which one to add. So for in endpoints, we're gonna add a solid, because it's gonna be a solid object. We're gonna go inside the endpoint, and over here we're gonna, let's see, we're gonna change, we're gonna go to children, and we're gonna add a shape to it. So let's search for shape. Shape, yeah, it's here, right over here. So go inside shape, and we're gonna change the appearance just like before. Change the appearance again, give it a geometry. Since it's a wheel, so I'm gonna give it a cylindrical shape. So yeah, so far it doesn't look that, it looks very weird, but after a couple of steps it's gonna look much better. Since it's a cylinder, I'm gonna change the height and the radius so that it's much more smaller. Okay, now we can see it, it's inside it because it's very small. So now we have changed the dimensions of it. As it's inside it, we can see it. So we're gonna go to the endpoint over here, and we're gonna translate it. We're gonna and from the endpoint we're gonna go to the shapes, and from the shape we're gonna give a name to the wheel. So we're gonna change the name of the wheel. So let's say we already have some objects known as wheel, as we have made, as I've made certain things over here. So you have got some files named as wheel, yeah, wheel solid. If you have watched a previous video, then you would know that why I named them wheel. So for this instance, it's gonna be a bit difficult for you guys to understand. You're gonna mix it up. So I'm gonna write it as car robot wheel, so that you can easily distinguish. Yeah, they changed the name of the shape. Then let's go to the, let's change the, oh, I forgot to change the color of the robot. So for that, I'm gonna go to inside robot, and go in inside children, and let's see, let's give it some time. Since it's a body, I'm gonna go inside the body, the appearance and the base color. I'm gonna give it, I think this won't look bad. Okay, so we are done with the body. Just go to the wheel section. Yeah, this is the part, and I'll just give it a color. Let's give it an orange color. Still you can see the wheel as of now, because it's still inside it, inside the, it's very small, so it's inside the object, the body. So now we may change the name of the shape over here, the wheel shape, robot wheel, we renamed it to that. Then we go inside shape and search for bounding object. Let's see, let's search for side wheel, and let's search for the bounding object. Let's see, the wheel is over here, and yeah, bounding object is right here. So we're gonna go over here, we're gonna use the wheel over here just like before, and add a physics to it. Yep, now we are done giving some parameters to the wheel. And to see the wheel, now it's finally time, the big finale, where you can actually see your wheel. So for that, as you can guess, just like before, we can go to the endpoint. So let's search for it. Sometimes it will take me some time because there are a lot of files. So yeah, so let me just change the coordinates. Let's give it 0.06. Y should be, I think, 0, and it was actually 0.05. Let's see, how does it look? It looks a bit weird. Let's see, let us just, it's not supposed to look like this, by the way. Let us just rotate it, I think along this axis. I'm sorry, I think it's gonna be along the y-axis. Oh, because we need to change the rotation, obviously. So for changing the rotation, I'm gonna give it 0.1 and give it a 90-degree rotation, so it's gonna be 1.57. My bad. So now it makes more sense. So we have added one wheel, and to add multiple wheels, since it has 4 wheels, so we're gonna copy this and paste. Now the only thing that we need to do is we need to go to this wheel, we're gonna go to endpoint and just change the location of it. So it's located right on top of this wheel. It's overlapping. So now to change the location, I think I'm gonna give it place it to a different location, minus 0.6, and everything will be same. So it's gonna be on this side, and the rotation will be similar to this. So there goes our second wheel. And for the third wheel, let's go to rotation and give it 0.6. It is going to be 0, and it's going to be minus 0.05. And for our fourth wheel, let's go over there and go to endpoint and go to translation, and over here let's get it will be both negatives. Yeah, so as you can see, we have more or less a pretty good looking robot which doesn't move, doesn't do anything, but it does we have somehow made it. Now the next thing that I want to add to my personal robot is I want to add sensors at the front of the robots. So whenever my robot is going to move, it's going to, if it detects any object, then it's going to just change its direction. Now for doing that, just close everything, and since we're going to add that feature inside the robot, then what you need to do is we need to go over here. I'm sorry, where's the part? Inside robots. So you're gonna go inside robots, and we're gonna click on this and add something. So what you're gonna add is, first of all, I'll just clear one thing out. There will be two sensors in my robot, in the front of my robot. So, one will be here and other one will be here, and both will be not pointing forwards, they will be pointing in an angular direction, because when, for example, think of an autonomous car, when it moves, it doesn't just look forward, it looks around and around the whole place, so it's gonna see in an arc. So I'll just when I'm gonna set up the sensors, you're gonna understand. So we're gonna go inside robot, click on the plus sign, and then go to base nodes, and after going to the base nodes, let's search for distance sensors. It's not there. Oh, we're gonna add it to the children, my bad, I made the same mistake, since we're doing this changes inside the robot. So let's see distance sensor. Why distance sensor? Because it will be an object detection, or I'm sorry, whenever it's gonna go find an object, then it's gonna change its course. We're gonna use a distance sensor in our robot. So the next few steps are pretty self-explanatory. We're gonna go inside the distance robot, and then we're gonna go to children, and since we need to give it a shape, so let's go over here and search for shape. We have given it a shape, and then we need to also give it a geometry. So first of all, let's get done with the appearance over here. So we're done with the appearance. Let's give it a geometry. We're gonna give it a boxy shape. So now it's a very big box, so we're gonna change the size of it, so don't worry about that. So we're done with that. Now the next step is going to be we're going to translate this. So for translation, we're going to go over here, we're going to change the location of it to 0.02. let's see where it goes. So 0.02 and 0 maybe, and just give it to 1. Okay, it's right over here. And also we need to rotate it and also change the scale of it as well. So we actually brought it forward. By the way, the distance sensors, it always gives out a beam, like they give out a beam, right? But the beam always, it comes from along the x-axis, like this axis. So in this context, the beam is going in this direction, but as we need it, as the car will move forward, the x-axis will need to be in the forward direction. So let's see, let's try to rotate it and see. Yeah, I think now it's all right. So it's pointing in this direction where the our car will move. So now let's go to rotation, and we need to make a couple of changes as well over here. So in rotation, the sensors, they don't actually point forwards. I have already mentioned that they're gonna point at an angular direction, like it's gonna form an arc. So we're gonna go to the rotation, and let's say in the rotation part, let's give y, let's see how it's gonna rotate. No, y has to be -1. Okay, so let's change the angle. So we're gonna add 30 degrees to it. So if we add to this here, then it's gonna be around, let's see, it's gonna be 1.27 maybe, yeah. Then we added 30, so it just changed the direction just 30 degrees in this direction. Then the next part is just decrease the shape of it. So we go inside children, we go inside shape, the shape, and then over here we go inside geometry, and we open it up, we change the size of it. So we change it to 0.01 and just copy paste it in all of the places. And I'll just change the color of it as well. So let's give it, let's see, I think a dark orange won't look bad. Yeah. So this is my sensor, and this is my first sensor, as I've mentioned over here. And since I'm gonna change the name of the sensor, so over here, let's search for the name box. Yeah, distance sensor. I'm gonna write is a distance sensor left. I'm sorry, it's to my right, so it's gonna be distance sensor right. So because it's the sensor to my right, to the right of the robot. Now if I copy this and copy and paste, and I'll just go inside and I'll search for the name folder over here. Let's go to the name folder. Name, and I'll just change it to left. And after that, the only two changes that you need to do is go inside the translation, and it's located in the, I think, the perfect place, but the only difference that you need to make is you need to change the angle to this direction, and also the x-axis. I think it's going to be in this direction, the negative x-axis, and also it's going to point in this angle. So we're going to go to rotation, we're going to add 130, 30, 30. I think it's going to be 1.87. I'm sorry, 1.87. Yup. See, our sensors, they looks perfect. And see, we have the lines of the sensors, like we can see the sensors are pointing in this direction, but sometimes you might not see that. But to view that, just go to the view tab over here, go to optional rendering, and go to distance sensor. See, it's already been checked, so we can see the length of the sensors. And also there is a range to the point the sensors can detect. So over here, we to change the range, like if something is within like 100 meters, or I'm just giving you an example, 100 meters, then it's gonna detect from 0 or from the minimum to that maximum position. But you can also change the range of the robot. So we're going to go inside any one of the sensors which you want and go for the lookup table, search for the lookup table, and over here, as you can see, this range. So as you are moving in the X and Y direction, so the Z will be 0. So it's actually showing that the minimum value of sensing is going to be 0.1 and the maximum will be 1000. You can easily change that. So that was a part where we made a robot. We gave a shape to a robot, and also add sensors, and also we're gonna see more. I'm gonna add some couple of more parts to the robot before adding camera to my robot, so that it can actually detect or recognize certain objects that we have already placed over here. Made the shell of the robot and also added some sensors. But essentially what we have done is we have made just a body which has no life, and whenever you want to make something interactive in programming, you need to code. Now for that, we need to, as you have already learned about controllers, we need to have a controller for this robot, and put some code, throw some code inside that controller so that it sort of behaves the way we want it to. But before that, we need to make some certain changes. Now to make those changes, we need to make those changes inside this node robot, but I've already made those changes so that it's not really time consuming when I'm going to explain. So I'll just go through them very fast. First of all, the first two changes which I made is these are the names of the sensors. Initially it was distance sensor right and distance sensor left, but I shortened it up to DS right to DS left and DS left. There is a reason behind it. I'm gonna show it in the code that why I made those changes. That's the first change, which mistake that I made before. Now let's see the changes that we need to make. We need to talk about the hinge points over here. The hinge points means the wheels. So let's go to the first wheel. Now when you go to the first wheel, let's go to device, and inside rotational wheel 1, we need to name it to wheel 1. Just go to the rotational motor, go to name and name it wheel 1. Same goes for the second hinge point. Go inside the hinge point, search for let's see, the device, and then inside rotational motor we have got a name folder, name it to wheel 2. And same goes for the rest of the wheels. Now there has to be one more change, and a very important change, which is, let's click on the hinge point again, and let's, okay, it's already closed, the device is closed. We need to open up the joint parameters, and on the root endpoint parameters, I'm sorry, let's close the device, the endpoint solid. So what we need to do is we need to understand first that the wheels, they rotate about an axis, and we have already defined that axis, which are the coordinates of the translation right over here. But now you need to copy those values of the translation from the endpoint to the anchor, which is under the joint parameters. So I have already copied the values of the translation. These are the x, y, z values to anchor, which is under joint parameters. I've copied them down in each and every hinge point. So this is for the first hinge point, and same goes for, let's close the device so that is easier to see. So in the translation values of the second hinge point, I've copied them down, and I copied them over here in anchors of the second hinge point, and so on and so forth. Now the reason for doing that is we have our axis aligned to the axis of the wheels. That's the main reason. Now in the next part we are almost done. So we are done making the changes in this window. Now if you need to add a controller to your robot, so go to wizards, let's click on the robot, let's go to wizards, let's click on new robot controller, click on next, choose the language in which you need to write the code of the robot, choose the IDE. Basically, since we are using Webots, it's going to be much better to use the Webots IDE, and name a default give a name to your code, the file of the code. But I already have made a file of the code, so I won't just create another file. So I'll just cancel it. So after you have done that, a bunch of random files will appear right on the right side of your screen. However, what the main task that we need to do is we need to make this certain robot to detect obstacles and then avoid them. Now the code for that, you don't need to write it by yourself. It's already available in the documentation of Webots that we have right here. I open it up. We have got different languages: Python, C++, Java. Since we are using C++, I already copied this code over here, and I've copied this on my notepad, and I've also copied it down to the gibberish codes which were here before. And the certain changes that you need to make inside these codes are, and over here I named it to DS left and DS right, the names of the sensors, and the names of the wheels, which are right over here in the device that we have named it. We have named it the 4 wheels: the first wheel, the second wheel, the third wheel, and the fourth wheel. Now since I've already named the sensors, distance sensor 1, distance sensors right, and distance sensor left, but why have I written it in this way? Because distance sensor right, this entire thing is a huge string, and since we are using a character array, it doesn't take in such a huge string. I've already run it, and it was not working, so you need to shorten it up. Same goes for this. You can't write such a huge string. So over here we are importing some libraries of the sensors so that the sensor can see, and also the motors, and we are creating an array for the wheels. We are basically saying that the robot we have over here, we are creating an array and also time step and everything. We can read this code and you can understand by yourself, and at the end of the day, if you're finding an obstacle, is gonna be in a loop. If it finds an obstacle, it's gonna turn right, and if it doesn't find an obstacle, then it's gonna if it finds an obstacle right in this code, if it finds an obstacle, it's gonna turn right, else it's gonna go straight. And we are at the end of the code, we are just pushing those values inside the wheels, because the wheels are gonna rotate. And since it's gonna be on a dynamic memory, after we're done with this code, we're gonna delete the robot. So let's see. First of all, we are done with this. Let's just save the entire environment. It's gonna save it. We're done saving. We're gonna compile the code, build it to this robot, and let's see whether we have any errors or not. No, let's not do that. Let's see whether we have any errors or not. It doesn't seem that we have any error, so I'll just keep it in this way and just simulate it. Okay, the robot is going forward, forward, forward. If it sees anything, it's going to change direction. See, it's changing the direction. So our robot is working pretty much fine. Okay, so yeah, that was basically it. That was basically me making a robot, just giving it some parameters, or I would say some sensors, and making my default robot according to my preference. So you guys can make a robot which can fly. You can add different sensors as of which is going to be important for your project. So thank you very much everyone for seeing the entire video.